Welcome back. It is the New York Gun Guys. My name is John.
My name's Taylor.
This is the first episode of 2022.
Yeah, it is.
We are, 23 days late? But we have a good reason, right?
25 days late.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I had COVID.
Yeah, you did have COVID.
We were going to get together like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I got COVID.
Yeah.
And COVID sucked.
I can imagine it did. I still haven't gotten it yet.
You're going to get it.
I know.
Dude,
everyone's going to fucking get it.
Everybody is going to get Omicron.
I know. Omicron.
It's not Omnicron.
Omicron.
It's Omicron.
I am Omicron.
If anyone says Omnicron, you're an idiot.
Well, that's what I've been saying, so apparently I'm a fucking moron.
Well, have you ever read the word? Have you ever just looked at the word? It's Omicron.
I don't know.
Unless I'm the asshole.
I don't know.
I might be. It's possible. Anything's possible at this point. I got COVID brain.
Yeah, you got COVID fog on the brain.
Dude, COVID was not the worst thing I've ever experienced, but it was just like one of those. It's like, you know when you have just like a dull headache, so like you're just reminded all the time that you have a headache, but it's like not debilitating. Yeah, it's like that. Okay. Like always coughing. I had a headache just behind my eyes, like a weird, like if I moved my eyes, it would just hurt like a motherfucker.
And you lost your taste and smell too.
I lost my taste and smell for not that long though, like 2 days, 3 days, and then it like slowly started to come back. I had like stomach pains and like weird, like I would just be sitting there totally fine, and all of a sudden I would just feel like super sick. Like my stomach would just be like super sick, and then it would just like go away. It's weird, and that has persisted after. Like sometimes I'll just be sitting there, I just feel like I'm gonna throw up, feel sick. It's weird, man. This thing has like a lot of things that they stay with you for like a long time. It sucks, but I ended up I was at work. I didn't feel good. Came home and took my temperature, and it just kept going up. I checked like every hour, and it was just going up and up and up. And I think I maxed out at like 101.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Went out sick, and then got a test through my agency, and the next day it came back positive. So quarantined myself in this room. So you're in like the COVID ward.
Oh God! Thanks for telling me that after I got comfortable and sat down. Nah, it's all right.
No, dude, it was nice. I had like a big blow up mattress.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was nice, man.
Well, we waited an appropriate amount of days. My wife just was like, just take a chill pill, relax, don't.
I mean, my wife was here every single day, and she did not get it. So
luckily, yeah, man, that's good. I
mean, like, and before I went positive, or before I felt like I was really sick, like, you know, we were doing like regular married shit, like, you know, kiss goodbye, kiss hello, and then, you know, sleeping in the same bed. So it's not like, you know, if she didn't get it, there was no possible way that you were going to, I mean, I'm not over here.
Oh,
like,
no, of course.
You know,
of course, there's no shower curtain between us. There's no plexiglass.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I could fucking hock a lug in his coffee sitting right there if I wanted to.
I would be upset.
I'd be more upset if I had coffee and you spit in mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been absent for a little bit, but you know, we wanted to finally get back together and produce some really high quality content for you guys.
Oh yeah. It's
if you call this high quality, man.
Yeah. If only people knew where we were.
I know.
But I mean, I think it sounds pretty good for what we're in.
I mean,
but
I guess it does.
Yeah. Before we get into it, I just want to extend condolences to the families of the 2 officers that were shot.
Yeah, in Harlem. I mean, that news broke over the weekend, and bro, it was fucking awful to hear.
Right.
I mean, when you think about it, the guy that died, the officer that died, was 22. He was just married.
Right.
And you know, anybody who takes that job, you know that there's always a chance that can happen. But the circumstances in which it happened, I mean, they were just fucking trapped in a hallway. The guy fucking had a stolen handgun with a fucking high cap drum,
like a 50-round drum mag.
with a drum mag on it. I mean, anybody, it's you shooting fucking fish in a barrel at that point.
That's called the fatal funnel. I don't know if you've ever heard that term. When you're going down a hallway, it's called the fatal funnel. You have nowhere to go. You have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And I've read an article. It said that it was basically a domestic violence call. There was 3 officers there. Yeah. So they go. One officer is talking to the mother who called. She was having a dispute with her son about a diet. And fucking the 2 other cops went down the hall to go talk to the son, and he just opened the door and just fucking shot, and then like stood over them and just like shot more into them as they just lay there dying.
Yeah, and the third officer returned fire.
The third officer returned fire because the guy did not realize that there was a third officer there, because in the city they respond with, typically one car has only two officers in it. Mm-hmm. So this guy was also with them, just happened to be with them. I think he was in training, and he returned fire, and the suspect ended up dying as well.
Yeah. The news article said that the gun was stolen out of Baltimore.
Yeah.
And, you've been hearing a lot in the news lately. Mayor Eric Adams is talking about, the crackdown on illegal guns, that the governor, she was saying that also they're going to send in the state police and federal funding and all this. And I'm like, but this is now too late. You realize that this has been a problem for the past few years now.
Yeah, well, government's very reactive. You know?
I know. But what I'm getting at is you have one dead officer, another one that's critically wounded. He's alive as of right now, thankfully. But, now all of a sudden you want to send in reinforcements. But what about all the kids that are shot? The fucking 1-year-old that shot outside of a party in the Bronx. Yeah.
Who got shot just sitting in a car, where's the funding for people like that?
Right.
And this is not a new issue.
No,
this is not the first person who's been killed due to gun violence.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what are we doing
But
now?
now all of a sudden they want federal help and they want bigger state help. It's just to the point now where you just got to say this is not working. And what really needs to be done is this district attorney in Manhattan, the guy who wanted to make it a misdemeanor to if you commit an armed robbery, it would be a misdemeanor
unless someone gets hurt.
Yeah, unless someone gets hurt. Well, the point is, so that gun he's still using is illegal. That gun could have been the same gun that this dude used to kill an officer.
Yeah.
So now what? So now you're letting people go on misdemeanors with illegal firearms that could potentially kill innocent people and officers.
I don't know if you saw that they did a search warrant on that apartment. After this whole thing happened, they found an AR pistol under the guy's bed, loaded, ready to go, with like a 30-round mag in it. I mean, of course, they called it a assault rifle, AR-style assault rifle, but it's at the very least, it's a short barrel rifle. But I think it's short enough to be an AR pistol.
But you know what? If that guy used an AR pistol instead of that handgun, I mean, it could have been way worse.
The result would have been the same.
Yeah.
He still didn't know. He still only thought there was 2 officers, so he shot them. I mean, both. Those officers would be. That's it,
No, what I'm getting at is, I don't know what your guys' ballistic vests are rated to, but a 5.56 has a lot more penetrating power than.
Well, it doesn't matter. These guys got shot in the head.
Yeah.
But no, they're not rated for rifle rounds at all. No, they're not rated for rifle rounds. I mean, no real soft body armor is rated. I think that in the city they can get
ceramic or something.
They can get a ceramic plate. But that's rated for 1 rifle round. If you have a guy walking down the hallway just pumping rounds, that's it. You're good for 1. Yeah. That's it. It's not enough.
No,
it's
I
just
know.
Not enough.
I know.
But what are you gonna do? You can't go in riot gear to every single phone, every single radio call. You just can't do it.
This was just a really unexpected thing, obviously.
Very bad, yeah.
But the way it's now being handled is, like I said, what I take issue with is that now all of a sudden the governor, and the governor, she's so clueless. She says another illegal gun. It's like, well, no. How about the perpetrator who used the gun? The system that is put in place that allows these guns to basically be traded freely on the streets. And now we've talked about in the past, but Mayor Eric Adams is worried about if this Supreme Court case goes the way it should, legal gun owners having the right to protect themselves on places like subways and public transit. That they have to protect themselves from these fucking animals that use these illegal guns and have no regard for even ordinary people, but also for law enforcement officers. I mean, I'm not saying law enforcement officers are above anyone else, but to kill a cop like that, you have to be just brazenly either psychopathic or not have any regard for life.
This guy just clearly had no regard for human life. I mean, if you think about the argument with his mother was about a diet. I think she was was on a vegan diet and he didn't like that, it was some sort of diet argument, and to basically shoot and kill an officer because you had an argument with your mother about a diet. You just think about, it's not like this guy was a fugitive on the run, running from something else, and he got into a gun battle with police over that to try and escape. No, this guy just had a bad day with mom and fucking killed somebody because of it. That's fucking. It just makes it so much worse that it was just about nothing.
It's senseless.
It's fucking senseless.
It's senseless. Just like an 11-month-old being shot in the car.
But that wasn't even intentional.
No, I know. But what it's senseless.
That child is a victim of just circumstance, like
Right.
wrong place, wrong time. Could have been any parking spot they were parked in.
It's
It's terrible.
senseless.
It's fucking terrible.
It's all senseless.
Yeah, it's all senseless.
That's
but like
what I'm getting
these,
at.
I mean, these guys were called there, and the mom is a retired captain for Department of Corrections. I
What?
read in an article. Yeah.
How the fuck did she then not know this
Oh,
dude
she
had
knew.
a gun?
Oh, she definitely knew. Yeah. Oh, she
God.
knew.
And she
Yeah.
should be fucking culpable too.
Yeah, she should be. And I saw an article that said that like she feels really bad for calling the police about it because like it caused the death of an officer. It's like, well, dude, like you're a retired Department of Corrections captain. Like
Right, you're
you have
sworn-
made enough money
Yeah.
over your life to like not even live in the city. Like you could have just like moved out. Like not like there's obviously good places and bad places in the city, but like to have like a son who you're part of like the corrections system, like the criminal justice system, and you have a son that has illegal guns, like do something about it, or if you're gonna call the police, just let them know like, listen, my son has guns in the apartment. They're gonna send more officers. They're gonna, you know, they're gonna react a little differently, and it's just a shame that
I know
that she didn't say anything, and basically because of her, because of him, an officer died, you know.
Right.
Another one is probably going to pass over time.
Yeah, so. I haven't heard any news updates on that. On the other officer. It's sad, man. It's just like those two officers years ago that were just sitting in their car. Officer Lou and
Ramos.
Ramos and Lou. Yeah, they got gunned down just sitting in their car.
Yeah, and then only after that did they put in those ballistic panels in the window. Not even, you know, you can't bulletproof a whole vehicle, but you know, the front glass isn't, but the side glass is, so people can't just walk up to the side of you and just start shooting into the car. But yeah, man, it's all reactive.
It's lawlessness, and people like this district attorney and people like this governor need to just see now that what you guys are promoting and what you guys are doing is enabling this criminal behavior.
Yeah,
they know that there's no penalties. They know that they won't be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
This guy was prosecuted on scene, bro.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? I have a question. Part of me, I mean, you might not even be able to answer this just because of your position, but like people are saying, well, what's worse, getting killed on the spot, you know, by the return of gunfire, or living and spending the rest of your life in jail? You know, some people are like, he should get the death penalty, obviously, you know, but also some people, but some people are like, well, if he lives and he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail, that's worse. And it's like, you know, I don't know if you can answer that. Like, what do you think would be worse?
I mean, it's personal opinion, right?
Yeah,
it's personal opinion at that point, and you know, officers, if they're met with gunfire like they do, they're only meant to shoot until the threat is stopped.
Yeah.
You know, you're not there to kill somebody. Right. We're not. And you know, I listened to the radio run of that. Fucking terrible. A lot of screaming, and at one point you can actually hear an officer go over and ask for an additional ambulance for a shot suspect. So, I mean, you know, and I watch videos all the time of cops, they get into shootings and then immediately start like CPR and first aid. I mean, that's really, look, we're not there to be judge, jury, executioner.
Right.
Personal opinion, I think that this ended, I don't want to say the right way, but it ended in like the way it should have ended, right? Like this guy was shooting at officers. This guy ended up getting shot, and like, I mean, he died, but that's from his own doing.
Right.
If we had a death penalty in this state, I would say this guy would deserve the death penalty. So
he would be an eligible candidate.
Yeah. So I don't know what's better. I mean, I think for the family, it's probably better that this guy was killed, right? Because you know, they took one of their loved ones, and now they don't have to worry about going to court.
Yeah.
You know, because think about it. Like, this guy is still gonna have to go through the legal system, even though it was obvious that it was him, right? But like, there's video footage on every body camera. You know, there was officer eyewitnesses there said so. Yeah, I mean, I think it's better for the victim's family in the long run, because now they don't have to go to court. They don't have to relive it. They don't have to sit in court and listen to, you know, because they're going to have to watch body camera.
Yeah, that's going to be rough.
You know, the court would have to watch body camera.
Yeah, that's going to be rough.
They'd have to sit there and wonder, like, is this guy not going to get convicted? Is he just going to walk out on the street, you know?
Imagine.
And then, like, in this day and age, who the fuck knows? And then, you know, they'd have to still go to sleep every day. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time a cop killer got released early on, like parole. You know, people who kill cops get released if they kill cops when they're very young. they do 30 years and they get released, like that's fucked up too. So they don't have to ever worry about that.
Yeah, man.
Which I'm okay with.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, to me, honestly, I think it's better that he just gets shot there because if, like I said, like you said, if you shoot at cops, expect some gunfire back, and that's that's the ultimate end result.
There was no other option. That guy was getting shot at,
right?
Because that other officer just witnessed him killing people. But as far as like him dying as a result of, I mean, this from what I read, this officer, it's not like this third officer like dumped an entire mag into the guy. I mean, he exercised constraint.
Yeah,
so he didn't go there. He didn't even after witnessing the shooting, he didn't intend to kill this person, but he just stopped the threat. The guy dropped and he stopped shooting. So, which I think speaks volumes for police officers as well.
Yeah, definitely. It was that.
He could have easily just dumped the whole mag into the guy.
Adrenaline rush, dumped it. Yeah, no, that was definitely the right move.
Yeah,
and it's it's good to hear that training and restraint really paid off in this instance.
Yeah.
It's just really kind of hard to talk about, man. It's
scary, man.
It is. It could happen to anyone.
Yeah, it could happen to me. Think about how many radio runs that I respond to that you're there. You're just, it's you and your partner, and anything, you don't fucking know, anything can happen. It could be me, and I think that's why it kind of it is very heavy on a lot of people's minds, because it could be them, because I think that these people, like other officers, know that they've done the same exact thing. They've walked down those hallways. They've went to those calls that seem like they're bullshit. They've been with their partner walking down a hall, going to a door that's unknown, clearing a building. It's not like you were sitting in a car and you could just very easily say, those officers fell asleep in the car and then they ended up getting shot. I would never do that.
Right.
But no, like how many radio calls you answer a day where you are walking down that same hallway. That's why, because it could be anyone at any time.
Yeah, definitely. I just wonder now going forward what the actual response from the mayor and the city and the state's going to be.
Well, the mayor, I saw at his at the press conference at the hospital, pushed gun control.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, he's a politician, right? You're going to get a politician answer. But he did say that there's a lack of gun control at the federal level and that the federal government should be doing more. Gun control, I don't think would have mattered in this, because it's a stolen firearm. It's like the
stolen firearm that went across state lines and was sold illegally, probably multiple times too.
Right.
So again, federal gun control has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, and then he's been talking a lot about bringing back anti-crime teams, which now he did a press conference I think the other day, and he said we're bringing them back this week.
Yeah.
And anti-crime is something that might have prevented this, because they're going out there looking for illegal guns, and people are like, oh, what's the difference? Because they have public safety teams now, right, which do kind of the same thing. They're just under a different name, but they're not in plain clothes, they're not in unmarked vehicles,
right?
So everyone's like, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is if you're in an unmarked, blacked out sedan, that is less conspicuous than a fucking marked patrol car with fucking, it's a big white vehicle with fucking big blue letters that says NYPD and lights on the top. It's you can't really sneak up on people. I mean, and anti-crime got a lot of guns off the street, man. So and who knows what those guns would have ended up doing. If only we knew. We can't measure the success of anti-crime other than how many guns they've gotten, but I wish we could see the future of what that gun would have brought, so we could see this gun was going to kill a child, this gun was going to kill an officer, this gun was going to kill two people in a housing project because the bullets went through the window and hit a mom, but we can't. So
I'm and me, I obviously want more people to be armed, but you have to be doing it in a legal and responsible way.
Of course.
These guns unfortunately fall into the hands of people that should not have them, and then it gives gun owners a bad rap, basically, because people like Eric Adams will say, like I said with the Supreme Court decision, that we have to restrict the amount of guns that are in the city, but he makes no distinction between legal and illegal guns. To me, that's a problem. You need to have that distinction. I've been reading online lately on the New York Guns subreddit, kind of segueing out of this because I don't know how much more we could talk about, that people have been posting up things like pistol permit wait times. That seems to be the trending topic right now. and how people in certain counties, like where we are in Long Island, 2-year wait, 1-year wait.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. And for you to go through 2 years waiting just to get a permit to possess a pistol, it's not the kind of people that...
It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, it is going to get worse. But
Especially,
that's not the kind of people that Eric Adams needs to concern himself with.
No.
Especially the people in the city that have to go through an even more restrictive process.
Right, yeah.
I saw a post by a guy the other day that said he failed to disclose that he had a prescription for Xanax on his application. And it was prescribed. He didn't know it was a controlled substance, like a schedule,
I mean, it was...
Right. Again, I'm not defending the dude, but they revoked his license pending an investigation.
I don't...
And he turned to Reddit for, like, what do I do? And everyone's like, dude, like, you have to disclose everything.
Dude, it's so fucking obvious. If you get a prescription, it's controlled.
Well, yes and no. I mean, a prescription for an antibacterial, an antibiotic isn't a controlled substance, but something like Xanax, because it has the propensity to be abused.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they consider that to be like Ritalin, Xanax, anything like that. But again, part of me is like, well, you should have declared it, but the other part of me is like, what does it matter to them? It's a prescription prescribed by a doctor. So, like, on one hand, it's so restrictive that you have to divulge so much personal information to them just to have this right. But on the other hand, if you don't play by their rules, well, then what do you expect to happen?
Right.
It's like you're fucked if you do, you're fucked if you don't.
Yeah.
People are trying to, people are trying to get more information out there in order to change the system. Mm-hmm. It's crazy because they say the law is that it must not take more than 6 months to get your permit. But that's an arbitrary thing because, well, where does the 6 months start?
Yeah, starts when they start to look at you.
Right.
They'll start to look into your case. Right.
Generally, it's from when they take your fingerprints or you have your first interview.
Right.
But that could be a year after you submit your packet.
Correct.
And it's such bullshit.
Yeah, correct.
And so that seems to be like a really hot topic right now on the New York Gun subreddit.
Mm-hmm.
Pistol permit wait times, Nassau, Suffolk County, upstate. It's just it's nuts. And when you think about people with these illegal firearms wreaking havoc on the streets versus the people that have the responsible, means to get a license, they're legal, they're law abiding, and they're lumped into the same category as these cop killers and criminals, that's one thing that really annoys me. So if you're in the process to get a pistol permit, it sucks, but if enough people do it and there's enough power out there within these people, it might get changed. And I'm hoping with the Supreme Court decision that it will get changed, and hopefully not for the worse. One topic I wanted to cover today, John, was no relation to the earlier conversation, I guess, but if a loved one of yours passes away, what do you do with their firearms?
Yes.
So,
guns after death.
Guns after death. And like I said, this is no relation to what we talked about earlier with the passing of this officer. It's just, this is something that happened personally in my life, not a family member of mine, but a close friend.
Yeah. What happens if, your
husband, wife, dad, sister, brother passes away and they have firearms.
And you don't, they had a permit and you don't.
Well, yeah. Well, not even that, but like a whole bunch of scenarios. So, let's just say a relative of yours or a friend passes away and they have a firearms collection. And let's just say, for example, they have long guns, they have handguns, but those handguns, let's just say worst case scenario, aren't permitted. Worst case scenario. Obviously, everyone should have a permit if they possess a handgun, but oftentimes people don't. If you have a grandpa who's 80 years old and he got this pistol in the 50s and he just had it and back then, right, it was not such a big deal, or he brought it home from the war.
Right.
What do you do?
I mean, that happens.
Yeah. So I'll start off with that. Worst case scenario, a relative has a handgun, and I don't know New York City laws, but this is the rest of the state. Relative has a handgun that you found after they passed away.
Yeah.
What do you do? The answer is actually quite simple. You have to surrender it to the police, but it's not going to get destroyed.
It's not a surrender. It's they're safekeeping it.
Well, it is a surrender because you can't possess it anymore. It's an amnesty, basically.
Yeah, when my grandpa passed away, my grandparents owned a business, and my grandpa had a pistol permit through the business. Right. Well, it was his, but because of the business. Right. And when he passed away, my grandma found it in the office there, and she had to call. This is before I was on the job, but she had to call Suffolk PD. They came and they took it, and then
they gave her a receipt. Well, this is what happened.
They gave her a receipt,
right?
And I think she lost it, and I'm so upset by that because, and I keep telling her
she can call.
I know.
They hold it for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, it's been years though. I don't know. But I'm not sure what they would do with it at that point. But
it gets, if nobody claims it, it gets destroyed.
Yeah, but I don't know what that time frame is.
I don't know.
They say it's a certain amount of time, but who knows?
Right.
But because I would love to have that firearm,
I
don't know how that works either.
Well, I'll tell you how it works. It's not that complicated. Yeah. So in the case of this person that I was helping, we had called an FFL, and I asked them the situation. And they said that the person who has the pistol has to surrender it to the police. The police vouchers it, and then what they do is they run the serial numbers to make sure it's not stolen, used in a crime, whatever. And if all comes back clean, they hold on to it, and an FFL can come and pick it up. And basically, it's like you're selling it to an FFL. They pay you, they take possession of it, and then they put it on their books. Or if somebody has a pistol permit, the transfer process starts from the police department to that individual.
So the police department can transfer it to me?
Yes. I believe, though, it has to go through an FFL to do that because an FFL has to run the 4473 on you.
No, they run it there at Suffolk.
They do?
Because do you remember when I had to get back my rifles from Suffolk PD?
Yeah.
I had to submit to a background check, even though I had my credentials. Yeah.
I know, that makes
even though I was literally carrying a firearm with me.
Yeah. Well, then, okay, so they could run it there, but ultimately...
But I don't know if they will do it there for if it's not your property,
right?
And it's not, but that was my property. My name.
Well, the thing is, the person who surrenders it has to designate, okay, my brother-in-law has a pistol permit. He's going to add it to his permit as long as the gun is legal. Obviously, if it's like a Tech 9, you're not going to be able to fucking have that on your permit.
Right.
So it's not an overly complicated process, and people fear that, well, if I have this gun, it's illegal, I'm going to get prosecuted. If you turn it in and surrender it, the police in that way, it's an amnesty. You're not going to be charged.
Yeah, of course.
So that's what that is. Handguns, like I said, if it's legal, if it's not stolen, it could be transferred to an FFL for sale, or it could be transferred to a person who possesses a license.
Yeah.
It's not an overly complicated process.
Right.
Long guns is a lot easier. Rifle, shotguns. Obviously, the person who deceased, the person who's handling their estate takes possession of them if they're legally able to. Again, you have to be, able to pass a background check in order to do that. And then at that point, they could either keep them, they could sell them, they could do whatever they want with them. There's no... you don't have to surrender them to a gun store and then do all that. It's really just that easy.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, then if you want to transfer them or sell them, you have to abide by state law, and do that. It's just like selling a long gun anyway.
Right.
But the handguns are a big thing that a lot of people ask questions about. So when I did some investigating on behalf of someone, that's what I came up with. Again, your mileage may vary depending on if you live in the city or maybe another more restrictive county or something. But they make it, I guess, easy enough,
Mm-hmm.
But again, you can't just turn around and sell it to somebody.
Well, they also have an obligation to make sure that the gun doesn't go to the wrong people, and they are the government after all.
And like I've said in the past, I think we talked about a previous podcast, about machine guns and stuff. Like, if you find a machine gun in your grandpa's attic, what do you do?
It happens.
It does. It
happens.
Most certainly does. Me jokingly saying don't tell anyone isn't legal advice, but read between the lines. But in that case, you have to do some homework, figure out what it is you actually have. because sometimes it might be a machine gun, sometimes it might not be. You know, this gun
Right.
that Grandpa brought home from the war might be a semi-auto K-43 rifle or a G-43, which is perfectly legal in New York State. It's a semi-automatic German 8mm rifle. It actually it's very New York compliant. It doesn't have a bayonet lug. It doesn't have a threaded barrel. It just takes a magazine and it has a regular stock.
Yep, and that's a weapon of war.
It is a weapon of war. Yeah, I know, right? Or the it's not the Volkssturmgewehr. That you remember that gun that you fucking were like obsessed with because of how ugly it was?
I was not obsessed. I was fucking telling you it was fucking ugly.
It worked though, man.
It did, but it was ugly as fuck.
So are you, but
fucking
we love you
ugly
anyway.
as sin.
It worked. Last ditch German people's assault rifle.
Oh god! And it didn't. Didn't work.
It did. I mean,
the gun worked.
They lost. The Third Reich went down in flames. So
we're about to go through World War III right now, bro. With this Ukraine shit, fucking Russia.
Bro, there was just a headline. Yeah, I guess now segueing, but just to kind of end that previous topic. So if you find a gun, or somebody comes to you, a deceased member of your family possess firearms. The first thing to do is obviously make sure they're not loaded. Check them, see what you have.
If you're familiar with firearms.
Yeah,
don't just pick up a gun and fucking fiddle with it.
If you don't know what it is and you know somebody that knows firearms, give them a call. And do that. If, like I said, if it is a handgun, you have to surrender to the police. They voucher it. They give you a receipt. They run the serial numbers, and then from there, you could transfer it to an FFL or to somebody with a license. So. Again, it's not an overly.
You better hope it wasn't used in a fucking murder somewhere.
Yeah, but you know what? You're not on the hook for that. You'll
never get the gun back.
No, you will never get the gun back, but you won't be on the hook for that. So that's just what you have to do with that.
Right.
So now moving forward with other political news. In the news the other day, Biden was saying that they're considering sending NATO troops to the border of
Biden
Ukraine
looks
and
so weak right now.
Biden is a fucking cuck.
The fact that he went on this national press conference and said that if it's a minor incursion, there may not be a response from the U.S. Dude.
Well, in a sense, he is right because
you can't do that when you have fucking somebody invading an ally.
No, I know, but what I'm getting
that's not how it works.
But what I'm getting at is it's not the U.S.'s sole responsibility. It is NATO's responsibility.
But we are the police of the world. We make shit our responsibility.
I have a problem with that, and I'm going to say that we fucking have to feel like we have to police the world. NATO needs to do their fair share too, man. Poland is a huge ally of the U.S.
Yeah,
and
but
they're right there in Ukraine.
But you have to remember a lot of these, like Germany is a good example.
Yeah,
Germany wants to stay neutral because Germany gets its oil from fucking Russia.
Well, fuck them. They wanted to take over half the world fucking 80 years ago.
But this is what I'm talking about, right? Like they're trying to stay neutral because all Russia has to do is be like, all right, you have no more oil, and then they're fucked.
You know what? Then Germany can't be part of NATO. They need to do their fair share, just like everyone else.
I agree.
And I get it. Biden saying a minor incursion won't warrant a response. That's bullshit. But the fact he should be saying, what he should have said was, a minor incursion, will be met with force by NATO.
What he should have said was the severity of the actions by Russia will dictate the severity of our response.
Right.
That would have been a much more political way to say it. Or he could have pulled a Trump and just said any military action that Russia shows against Ukraine will be met with swift military action by the U.S. And we will have, like he said about North Korea, we will have no choice but to destroy their entire country.
Yeah, man. And you realize how quick Kim Jong-un tried to make friends with him after that
exactly,
shit.
Dude.
Yeah,
Dude, I was watching a clip of that the other day, and I was like, this guy was fucking nuts, man.
But you know what? He was the president that said what needed to be said.
He did, yeah.
And that's the whole
thing.
We
will have no choice but to destroy their entire... And he just said it so... We'll have no choice but to destroy their entire country. Like everyone was like, holy shit, okay.
And the president of the Ukraine was saying...
wipe North Korea off the face of the earth.
The president of the Ukraine, I think, was quoted as saying, like, we'll defend Ukraine to the last drop of blood or something like that.
Fuck, that's badass too, dude.
If you think about it, man, Ukraine's been fucked over by the Soviet Union before that, and... They have a right to be secure in their borders as a sovereign nation.
Of course.
But Russia decides to play games, and that's what it is.
This is if Russia even actually does anything.
I don't think Russia's going to do anything.
But here's the
fact is that they're just setting up for it.
Here's the thing. Yeah, they want to fuck around, and they're going to learn, hopefully. But the whole thing is, I just feel like Biden and other politicians in other countries that are not saying or doing what they should be doing, they're just kind of like setting it up for Putin Where if like now if he doesn't do anything, everyone has already said like, well, we're not really gonna do anything to you. So now if he doesn't do anything, he looks like the bitch.
Right.
So like now what? And you know these people are. He don't give a fuck if he sends people to get killed in a fucking war.
Right. This screams. If you know anything about the breakup of Yugoslavia and the civil war that ensued, basically, you know, Russia wants to take these areas that are ethnically Russian. They want to take these areas where the people there believe they're Russian. It's exactly what happened in fucking the breakup of Yugoslavia and Bosnia and Croatia, where ethnic Serbians living in these other countries like, well, we want to be part of Serbia because we're ethnically Serbians, but we're living in Croatia. And Serbia was like, well, they're ethnically Serbian, so we have to go in and protect them and take our land back. And, you know, people were genocided and fucking slaughtered. And, you know, Slobodan Milosevic like called the U.S.'s bluff, and then when we sent in NATO airstrikes, he's like, all right, I'm just kidding. We'll talk now.
Right.
But obviously Slobodan Milosevic was getting support from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Russia was sending them armaments and tanks and missiles and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
But this is exactly what happened. Ethnic tensions that rise in these countries, people feel like they have an obligation to a certain country that they might not live in, but ethnically they feel they're part of. Well, you know, this is what starts all this bullshit, man.
Yeah.
And if anybody looks at history, you'll see what fucking happens. People die unnecessarily, wars start, and the U.S. has to go in and just fucking shit on
Clean
everybody.
up, yeah. I have no problem with the U.S. being the police of the world.
I do.
Dude, the U.S. has basically given themselves the obligation to prevent the spread of communism and you know, things like that.
I don't care that communism spreads. I really don't. Because it doesn't fucking happen here. I don't care if China's communist. I don't care if Russia's communist.
I do.
It has nothing to do with us.
I 100% care.
Fuck them. You know,
dude, when you have people that are like murdering, you know, like you have these countries, these communist countries who are just like genociding people. You know,
what obligation of it? If it's
human,
so,
we have an obligation to protect human rights and human life.
I don't believe so to the degree in which you're saying. I believe that if a country is really fucked up and they're genociding people, and you know what? Maybe that country's people needs to stand up against a government. Maybe that country's people needs to fucking do something about it.
Yeah, but they can't do that.
Well, you know what, dude? Because then when we go in there, we never leave. When we go in a country like Afghanistan,
yeah,
we
Afghanistan
never leave.
Is different. You're fighting a different enemy.
But dude, whenever we go to a country, we set up a base. We never leave.
Good.
No,
we could stay.
Nah, fuck that, man. That's just taxpayer money. That's soldiers abroad. That's us spending unnecessary bullshit in countries that we have nothing to do with.
I don't have an issue. Are you kidding? We have something to do with every single country in the world. We're the sole superpower of the world. But
again, I don't think that we need to be the police of the world. Everyone needs to do their fair share in NATO, and the U.S. is constantly footing the bill for all this shit. Our national debt is rising. Our soldiers are being killed. It is garbage.
You want to get back to Afghanistan. Soldiers weren't killed there for months and months and months up until fucking Biden did his horrendous pullout and we lost 13 Marines.
But we've been there since the 90s, man.
Yeah, we've been there.
We've been there
for
Bush,
20 years.
We've been there since Obama.
Because we had to be there.
Well,
it's so fucking obvious that we had to be there, right?
Not really. Why did we have to topple Saddam Hussein in Iraq? Because he was an evil dictator? That has nothing to do with us. We went over there just to fucking get fucking oil. I mean, if people just, and this isn't a crazy conspiracy theory. It's what happened. We toppled their government in order to set up a more friendly U.S. Western government so that way we can get their fucking natural resources. Just like in Afghanistan, after we pulled out, China went in there and they're like, hey, Afghanistan, how's your minerals doing? How's your rare earth minerals doing for batteries and shit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's an issue that now they have those natural resources and we don't.
But fuck it. So what? We have a fucking country that used to make everything in the goddamn world. Why are we relying on all these other foreign countries? Fuck them. You know what I mean? Not to sound like an asshole, but
people make it very difficult here to do things like mine and collect natural resources.
Well, you know what? Because we have an option that's so cheap and readily available. You know why they make it so difficult here? Because we want to keep our land nice and pristine, and we don't want to get things dirty here. Yet we'll fucking export our batteries to be recycled in India, and they fucking pollute the world. India and China are the biggest polluters of the world over the U.S. Why? Because we send our shit there because they're deregulated and cheap to do so. It's cheaper to ship batteries halfway around the world than it is to recycle them here.
I just don't have an issue with us being in other countries at all.
I have an issue with it.
there's a good reason for us to have had a base in Afghanistan. You need like, even if you want to say it's for national security as far as like monitoring terrorism and shit, you still need boots on the ground to go confirm targets and things like that.
But why? Just fuck them. Let them, if they want to have a shitty government, let them have a shitty
Because these
government.
people attack us. It's not about that.
Well, if they attack us, we went in there, we killed Osama bin Laden.
So great. So so if they attack us again, let's say,
only
God
reason-
forbid, hold on, God forbid we have another 9/11. So now we have to go back and do it all again.
But that's fear mongering. You know, the only reason why we had a 9/11.
I mean, it's fucking statistics. It's
The
just
only
going
reason-
to happen again.
The only reason we had a 9/11, just to back up, was because the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan in the 70s, right? So the U.S., in order to fight communism and quote contain communism, armed the Mujahideen with Stinger missiles, surface-to-air missiles, weapons. The CIA and the U.S. government did this, right? Okay, so then after the Afghanistans beat the Soviet Union and kicked them out, these fucking people in flip-flops and AKs kicked out the Soviet Union, right? This should have been fucking warning number one for us. And I'm not shitting on America here. This is fucking history. So after they kicked out the Soviet Union, fucking, all these freedom fighters and Mujahideen were like, hey, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we can protect you. We're going to go and... Because Saudi Arabia was getting into some fucking shit with, like, I think, like, Iraq or some bullshit. Iran. It was either Iran or Iraq. And these Mujahideen fighters were like, hey, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we can protect you. Osama bin Laden went there. We have freedom fighters. We beat the Soviets. And Saudi Arabia was like, yeah, but you know what? The U.S., man, they got F-16s. We're going to side with them. And they fucking took it the wrong way. Osama bin Laden and his freedom fighters, like, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the holy land of Muslim fucking shit in that fucking part of the world, is siding with the U.S. You guys are fucking traitors. Fuck you and fuck the U.S. So if we didn't arm the Mujahideen and we just let the Soviet Union came in, so what? They would have fucking controlled Afghanistan. Big fucking whoop. We would have never been involved there. There would have been no Osama bin Laden. There would have been no 9/11 if we didn't fucking interfere in that bullshit in the past. I could fucking guarantee it.
Maybe.
The only reason that the U.S.
You cannot guarantee anything like that.
I could probably say with certainty, because the only reason that
could be your theory.
The only reason we were attacked was because of our involvement in the Middle East. If we just stayed the fuck out of it, we wouldn't have been... the first rule of getting in a fight is don't get in a fight.
Bro, these people hate our way of life.
They hate our way of life, but they could hate it from all the way over there. Fuck them.
Yeah, but the problem is they don't hate it from all the way over there. They fucking bring that shit to us.
Well, you don't see fucking other countries coming into the U.S. and invading and doing shit like that.
No,
we can go over there.
Do that.
Yeah, they can never do that, but we could go over there no problem. And that's my issue, is that we send soldiers to die, just like in Vietnam. We had no business being in Vietnam. And yet we send soldiers to fucking die there. Why? Because allegedly a ship got sunk in the Gulf of Tonkin. Not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it was bullshit. They said that fucking ship was sunk by a torpedo in order to justify sending troops in there. And we were in there in Cambodia and Laos long before the fucking Vietnam War ever fucking kicked off officially. And we sent people there to go fucking die. Why? So that way we can try and liberate Vietnam. Vietnam didn't want to be liberated. They liberated themselves from the French. They had fucking French colonial rule for hundreds of years. The same thing with the Philippines. I mean, yeah, we helped the Philippines because the Japanese were going in there and raping and slaughtering everyone. And now, luckily, they're cool with us. But, what business do we have to be over there? That's what I'm getting at, man. We can have diplomatic relations with other countries. I'm not saying we can't be involved in other countries. But the fact is that if we try to police the world, it's going to come back and bite us in the ass. Big time. Just like 9/11. Just like every fucking terrorist attack that's happened to us. And I'm not saying...
There's terrorist attacks in every country.
Oh, yeah, just like France, just like everywhere else. But I'm not saying we deserve it. Obviously, no one deserves to be like that. But what I'm getting at is when you police the world, you have a responsibility. You have this big weight on your shoulders. Other countries in NATO need to do their fair share. If China wants to be communist, fuck them. Let them be communist. We have enough problems to worry about.
I don't think anyone has a problem with necessarily them being communist. But it's like what they do with their communism. I mean, they're like slaughtering Uyghur Muslims in fucking China.
Yeah, they're slaughtering Uyghur Muslims just like we fucking genocided our Native Americans. But you know what? That's a problem that needs to be addressed on an international stage. It's not just the U.S.'s problem.
Yeah, but nobody is addressing that.
Well, then
the U.S. isn't even addressing it.
Well, then you know what? We stopped doing business with China. Fuck them. Hit them where it
they
hurts
never
in
will.
their wallet.
But that's the whole thing. They never will.
That's the fucking problem because these politicians are too embedded in the way of life.
Well, you got fucking Joe Biden. He's like Mr. China.
Right.
Are you shitting your pants over there?
No.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. Wow.
I saw you make a move.
No.
You made a face, and then you made another face.
No.
Suggesting that.
What, I ripped ass?
Yeah.
No, I did not. I would have told you.
Yeah.
No. You would have it would have been a loud one.
Well, you have Uncle Joe Biden, who's he's the big guy through China.
My fucking...
I'm just saying, So a lot of politicians have like an affinity to a lot of other countries.
Well, the way we're in bed with China right now because everything is fucking made there. Look around this room. Everything is fucking made there.
Yeah, I know.
And it's been this way because corporations and fucking businesses and government has allowed it to be. And I don't think that's right. Again, I can't change it on an individual basis, but if we just fucking hit them where it hurts, stop doing business with them, tell them, look, either change the way you do shit or we're not doing business with you. I mean, China owns most of our national debt anyway, so we're kind of fucked in that way. But again, we need to just stop being involved in foreign affairs. George Washington said it best. Just stay the fuck out of everyone else's business. Worry about your own. Build up your own national military. And just try to make Americans' lives better. I mean, who cares what happens in fucking Afghanistan? Saddam Hussein was a terrible dictator. So what? Well, that's their problem.
How about, okay, you want to stay out of everyone's business. Yeah. Look at the, Nazi Germany, where for years they were taking land. And right. Everyone was staying out of their business, and it fucking ended up being a full-scale world war.
Well, first off, Neville Chamberlain fucking let that shit go on way too long.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying
is,
but
we didn't go into the war until way later. Because we didn't enter the war until way later because that's our allies asked for our help.
But what I'm saying is, everyone was staying out of everyone's business. Oh, if that's what they want to do, then that's what they're going to do.
Well,
and they're going to do
that's an act of war.
But I'm just.
But if the U.S. did the same thing, then okay. If the U.S. did the same thing, if they invaded Afghanistan and Iraq and all these other places, then all those countries that they were aligned with should have said, hey, they invaded Afghanistan. We need to go to war with them.
Well, we invaded Afghanistan because we were attacked, too.
Attacked by a non-state actor. We weren't attacked by an official country.
Right.
Pakistan fucking hit Osama bin Laden and did that. We didn't go to war with Pakistan. They fucking hit out all these terrorists, but we couldn't cross into their borders because it wasn't an act of war. So, again, who are we? But, again, if Pakistan was friends with all these fucking countries, they could have been like, hey, U.S., fuck you, we're going to war with you. And we would have been like, yeah, fuck yourself. But again, not to get too much into this, but I'm hoping you realize that like everything the U.S. has done over the years has consequences. Just like we tried to invade Cuba, with that whole Bay of Pigs bullshit. Our fucking people, our soldiers got fucking slaughtered.
Everything that anyone does has a consequence.
In Central and South America,
I just personally don't have an issue with us being the police of the world if we're doing it for the right reasons.
I fucking do.
I don't. I absolutely do not.
We're
the big balls U.S., boy.
Well, we're the big balls USA because nobody attacks us. Because if they try to attack us, an army from a recognized nation tries to attack us, then we'll just fucking destroy them.
Exactly.
But again, even in World War II, we didn't get involved until way later, until our allies said, hey, we need help, and that's what we did.
But we really didn't get, we sent them munitions and shit, but we didn't officially get involved until Pearl Harbor.
And even countries even companies in the U.S. like fucking Ford, they were selling vehicles to both sides of the war.
Right.
Henry Ford was a rampant anti-Semite.
Mm-hmm.
But again, John, if you look at history and the way the U.S. has done things, you got to realize, like, we went into Vietnam for what was perceived as an act of war by sinking our ship, which was bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for what? Just to stop the spread of communism? Who cares? Let Vietnam be communist. Fuck them.
Mm-hmm. Well, every conflict has a different reason for entering.
Yeah, but again, it's bullshit. Fucking thousands of soldiers died. Millions of people's lives were affected. Yeah. And then not to mention all the fucking Vietnamese now that have to deal with the aftermath of war. All the Agent Orange that was made by fucking DuPont and Monsanto that fucking left them their babies with no fucking eyes and limbs. All the fucking mines that are still in the country that are being exploded and fucking killing farmers. Like, again, I'm not one of these anti-war assholes, but, like, you have to realize, like, there comes a point in time where the U.S. just needs to take a step back and be like, everyone else needs to handle their fair share.
Yeah, but they're never going to.
Well, then that's their fucking fault. Sorry.
I'm just saying.
Our national debt is rising. We make the best weapons and the best munitions and the best aircraft in the world. Everyone buys our shit. Well, fucking use them. You know what I mean? Poland is over by Ukraine, and they have a fucking issue. Poland sends some troops up. Germany sends some troops up. Fucking, if the European masses sends fucking troops and munitions up, that's a fucking whole side of a continent that is now arming and defending Ukraine. It can't just be the U.S. Mm-hmm. So again, look at history and see what the fuck happens.
I think I saw that the U.S. sent like 8,500 troops, right?
Yeah, and again, what happens if
like
this fucking war breaks out? Those 8,500 people could be killed.
Yeah,
again, that's more American troops that's just dead.
Yeah,
adding to the fucking pile.
Yeah.
And
but that's different. Like, Ukraine is an ally, so you still have to defend your allies.
You have to help your allies and defend them. But again, we shouldn't be the sole.
No, you're right. We shouldn't be. But if it's me, you, and a third person or a fourth person, let's say it's me, you, our mutual friend Bill and some guy named Joe. You know,
there's a dude Corey in the back,
right? And you get attacked by some moaning ghost named Corey, right? I'm just saying, listen, and I go, hey, mutual friend Bill, let's go defend. He's like, I can't. And then fucking Joe's like,
well, it's not that he can't. It's just like
he won't.
Well,
okay. And then Joe's like, I only have one eye. I can't do it. And then and you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, we're allies. You just want me to be like, yeah, I can't because these guys aren't going to do it.
Well, no, everyone needs to do it.
Yeah, everyone needs to do it. But what I'm saying, in a world,
you make them do it. That's what you do. You say, fuck you. You're our ally. Let's roll.
Eventually, they're going to have no choice if it breaks out. But they're going to stay neutral as long as possible.
Yeah.
They're going to.
I don't know, man. Like I said, if you look at history and the way the U.S. has intervened in a lot of shit,
I have no.
You realize that
not every conflict is equally as important or should have happened. But I'm saying that I think we still do have an obligation to protect human rights across the world. I really do. There's a lot of people who can't just fucking get up and leave.
Not get up and leave, but what I'm getting at
or
is...
they don't have the means to stand up to their government. I mean, dude, like it's so easy for us to say we got a fucking safe full of guns.
What I'm getting at is, in places that have overthrown their governments, it has happened. People have overthrown their government. It's not like it's this big fucking thing.
Yeah.
Obviously in places that, like in Tiananmen Square in China where they're going to get run over by tanks and shot at. Yeah. But again, guerrilla warfare has existed in places across the planet.
Well, look at North Korea. Why haven't those people taken over the government?
That's a more complicated situation.
Why?
Because the people in North Korea,
number
one, they don't know.
Yeah.
And number two, they're kind of brainwashed. But number three,
they definitely are.
They live in existence in which they don't have the complications of modern life. They don't have cell phones. I mean, the most part, they do have cell phones in some areas, but they don't have this. I'll describe it to you this way. I watched a documentary about a guy who escaped North Korea. He was in a prison camp. He was really fucked up. He was in a prison camp for like 14 years, and he escaped, and some people are denying if his story is true, but whatever. He was seriously damaged for life, this guy. He went to South Korea, and he made it to South Korea, and he's like, people here in South Korea have everything they want in life, but yet they have one of the highest rates of suicide in the world.
Yeah, I think you told me this story.
Yeah, and again, he's like, they asked him, would you go back to North Korea? He's like, if I could just go back to North Korea and have a farm and live my life, I would go back 100%.
So fucked up.
But is it fucked up, though? Is it fucked up? Because this man just wants to live a simple life, not being burdened down by the weights of the modern way of life.
I think it's also very overwhelming for someone to just leave. I mean, there's also plenty of people who have left North Korea defected, and then fucking happier. Right. So you're talking about one person out of
what I'm
hundreds.
Getting at, it's a mentality that definitely needs to be looked at. Is that sometimes modern life is so overcomplicated and burdened that you want to return to a simple life. You want to not be burdened down by this big complex government.
Don't get me wrong. I would love to just have a farm and just live off the land, but that's not fucking possible. So for someone like that who lived their whole life like that, and then now they're in a very stressful
But why isn't it possible? Why can't in America you just have a farm and live your life? You know what I mean? In the most free country in the world, why can't we do this?
I could go buy a farm and just live off the land, but there's other things I have to deal with.
Right. There's other things in living in this modern world you have to deal with. But again, the most free country in the world, sometimes when you look at it, it's like...
Well, we're still free to do that.
Yeah,
but I'm saying you still have to pay bills. You still have to have health insurance. I mean,
you don't have to have health insurance.
Dude, I doubt... Well, you do. You don't have to, but
the Amish don't have health insurance. Well, they have a community.
The Amish probably fucking step on a fucking rusty nail and fucking lose their leg.
The Amish have a community fund where if somebody needs medical care, they raise funds within the community.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And that's a great way to do it. But again, different people.
Yeah, that works in a small situation. No. You can't.
They've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's socialized medicine.
They've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for members of their community. It's crazy. I get in these weird YouTube things.
That's like basically single payer. But
what I'm getting at is,
but even still, like if you did that on like a national level,
that's what GoFundMe is.
Well, if you did no, but I'm saying if you did like a single payer national healthcare system where there was no private insurance, then basically you would have just rationing of healthcare. The government would set a certain amount of money to be paid for certain things, and it wouldn't be enough to cover what it's actually worth. And
that just gets into a different complication of why the medical system in this country is so fucked. But again, getting back to the original argument, I'm just going to say this. Just clarifying my point, I think that we need to take a step back from being the world's police. If there's an evil dictator in Central Africa or the Middle East, fuck it, it's not our problem.
Well, we don't really get too involved in like small conflicts.
Oh, we
like
get
that.
involved in small conflicts, bro. What are you kidding me? Dude, look at fucking Angola, Liberia, those conflicts that happened in Africa. The communists wanted to go in and set up a communist government in places like Liberia, Angola, and we fucking...
How long ago was that?
That was in the 70s, 80s,
yeah.
I think.
Because like
again,
recently, well, I guess they fight more like proxy wars now.
Yeah.
They just like fund one side over another side.
Even in Central and South America, bro, when we fucking overthrew Noriega... You know, we fucking helped do that. We helped set up a new government in place like Panama. You know, the CIA allowed drugs to be funneled up and sold in exchange for weapons in order to fund these guerrilla factions that are fighting these communist dictators. We get involved in the smallest of proxy wars, man.
Yeah,
it's
proxy
crazy.
wars, but we don't just send fucking like planes and shit down to just blow shit up.
Well, again, if our interest is, if the government's interest is to not have communism, well, then that's how you do it. Otherwise, it's war. You have to fund the people on the ground that are doing it. So, again, I think that, honestly, we just need to stay the fuck out of everyone else's business and worry about our own. You know, help our allies, of course, but again, we don't have to be the fucking big swinging dick everywhere.
I think we do.
Dude, it
I
just
don't have a
leads
problem
to,
with it.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's good being the biggest kid on the block, but at the same time, that's just more responsibility on you.
Correct.
Our fucking debt is soaring. It is crazy.
Yeah,
and
but
we're
that's
just
not
spending...
the fault of our military action.
The U.S. budget
yes, you
accounts
need
for
to
the
have,
biggest...
Correct. You need to have the biggest military on the planet if you're going to be the big kid on the block.
You have the biggest military capabilities of the planet, too, but you don't have to have these bases everywhere in countries that we have no fucking involvement in anymore. You know, like the Middle East, yeah, the way Joe Biden pulled out was fucking atrocious. But at the same time, just get the fuck out of there. They don't want us there. Good. We tried setting up a democratic government in fucking Afghanistan, and it fucking sucked.
I had no problem with us having a base there for the sole purpose of being able to have boots on the ground to confirm targets. And have a base of a perfect example is we fucking pulled all those fucking... We pulled the troops out. We gave our fucking base back. We fucking lost 13 Marines. Joe Biden sends a fucking drone out, and then he fucking kills a terror target, which was a fucking family coming home with fucking water bottles. But because we didn't have units on the ground to go and confirm the fucking target. That's a fucking problem.
But if we weren't there in the first place, that shit wouldn't have happened.
Well, we were there because we got fucking attacked. It is what it is. But you're involved now. You can't just get up and leave.
No, I know,
it's
but
a fucking perfect
when
example.
You look at the links of the chain, if you follow it back, why we were there in the first place, you know?
We were there because we were attacked.
No, but even before that, like I said, arming the Mujahideen in the fucking 70s to fight the Soviets.
But you can't guarantee that there wouldn't have been a terrorist attack if it wasn't for that.
But when you follow the links to the chain, if one of those things was broken, the probability of an attack would have gone down significantly.
Maybe.
You know, that's just all I'm saying, man.
It's possible. And I mean, anything is possible.
Yeah, anything is possible. I could fucking
with
sleep Jennifer Aniston, but, you know.
No, that's not possible.
Oh, man. Why you gotta fucking hurt my dreams like that?
Well, because.
She's 52 years old and just...
Yeah. It's not possible.
I give her every good bit of 5
She'd be like fucking 99 years old. Wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion, and I know your opinion. But again, luckily here in America, we have the right to own firearms, and if shit were to ever happen, you know, the citizens of this great nation could defend our government, or defend our way of life, defend our people, defend our families, and you know, like I said, it's just the rest of the world, man. We got enough fucking problems. We have a shitty president. We have a shitty fucking people in government, Pelosi and all of them, and Chuck Schumer and, you know, our Governor Hochul. We have these shitty politicians that just want to take away your rights.
I think the midterm elections is going to be really bad for the Democrats.
It is, dude. Everyone's fucking sick and tired of their bullshit. I mean, even this year, it's a gubernatorial election in New York State. I hear
Rob Astoriano.
Astorino, yeah.
Rob
Astorino,
yeah.
Astoriano.
I don't fucking know. I see his post on
Rob Astorino
on Facebook all the time.
He actually got, I think, like the most Republican support since Pataki for governor since Pataki.
Yeah.
But Lee Zeldin is really strong on Long Island.
Lee Zeldin, yeah.
And Lee Zeldin, he said if he's elected, he's going to, you know, repeal the SAFE Act, which I think has to go through the legislature. So, again,
we'll see.
We'll see. But you know what? It's good to hear a politician actually confronting it and saying, like, hey, we need to get rid of this. This needs to be addressed. Astorino did really good things in Westchester.
Yeah.
And he, honestly, I think he has more political prowess than Zeldin. But again, Zeldin is.
Well, I think Zeldin is a big name around here,
It is,
but might
but
not be
not
everywhere
upstate.
else. Right.
Astorino, I think, has appeal everywhere because Westchester is a rural enough county to get support in the upstate counties, but also close enough to Long Island where we know what's going on there.
Right.
And also, Long Island has a really big, huge population density, which could help too. But again, Buffalo, Albany, and New York City, they constantly vote Democrat.
Yeah, but I don't really have too much of an issue with New York City. I don't know if I brought this up to you. There's 8 million people in New York City, and only I think it was 300,000 people voted in the mayoral election.
Yeah,
300,000 out of 8 million, dude.
That's nothing. Dude.
No, it's not. It's nothing. It's fucking pittance.
Yeah.
It's
Isn't
amazing.
That crazy, man.
Yeah, it is.
And now this voting rights bill that got stymied on the federal level. I hate when they call it a voting rights bill because it's like everyone already has the right to vote. Like, what are you fucking doing?
Yeah, well, it's got nothing to do with voting rights.
No, I know, and they want to get rid of the filibuster. Yet, fucking Chuck Schumer ardently defended it back in the day.
They're not getting rid of the. Well, they will eventually. Once they have a majority, they will.
Once they have a majority, but then it's going to come back to bite them in the ass back when the fucking conservatives have a majority, and then you can't use a filibuster. Sorry, homie.
National reciprocity.
Yeah, it's just bullshit.
So we should do. But we have Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema.
Joe Manchin at least is a Democrat in name only. He's a dino, I guess.
No, he's not, but he comes from
West Virginia.
Right, where he has to do things carefully.
He's what they call a blue dog. Like they're conservative in some ideologies.
There's plenty of rhinos.
When it comes to work, though, like people like Manchin, he believes in unions. He believes in, like he's like the old school Democrat, like a JFK Democrat.
Right.
Like where he believes in unions, he believes in workers' rights, but at the same time, he recognizes a lot of conservative ideology and gun rights, especially.
Yeah, right.
He's been a holdout on gun rights, thankfully. That's why I call him a dino, Democrat.
Yeah, I mean, he's just someone who knows that he's not from a fucking pure blue state, and he's got to still. I mean, he basically got elected in a red state.
Yeah, basically.
So he's got to still walk the line of basically a moderate.
You know who I haven't heard from much lately? Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, ever since the inauguration, I haven't heard jack shit from that motherfucker.
Good.
Him sitting in that chair, looking like a fucking fossil. Yeah, I know, right? He just did the fucking thing. Yeah, he was all gung-ho about, anti-gun this and fuck Trump and all this. But, this whole thing, man, with these gun rights, especially in New York State, it's just getting worse. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And now, with the midterm elections and the Supreme Court case, everyone needs to just get the fuck up and do something about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we put out this podcast and we're trying to get information out there to people, and we're trying to hopefully inspire some people to, be more active and do the right thing. But, and then we go off on tangents about fucking history and, invading other countries. But that's just me. That's just how I am.
Yeah. We're imperialistic, man. We should just continue. Manifest destiny, the planet.
Stay the fuck out of that shit. I just listen. I think we got bigger problems to worry about at home.
Yeah, we do. We have bigger problems.
Like I said, the number one being this fucking president. Ugh, Sleepy Joe.
Yeah. I mean, he's gotten nothing done that he wanted to get done. So I don't think he's really the biggest problem.
No, the problem is that he got elected. That's a huge problem.
Is what it is. That is what it is. The media did a really good job. The erection. The election wasn't rigged as far as they casted fake votes enough to get Biden elected, but it was rigged in the fact of every side was against Trump.
Right.
You had the
every
media,
social media.
You had
was against him.
Every single social media would block his posts, label them misinformation. Whether you believe or not, it's misinformation is besides the point. You didn't see one thing on the Democrat side labeled as misinformation or fake news. And then you had all this negative press against Trump. Right. They blocked all the stuff about fucking Joe Biden's son. What the fuck is this guy's name? Hunter Biden.
Yep, illegally disposed of a handgun, smoking crack.
So why is that not? That should have been fucking front page news, because if Trump Jr. fucking did that, it'd be everywhere. He'd be prosecuted, imprisoned. So yes, I think in that, if you look at it that way, I mean that shit was definitely rigged against it.
It was the propaganda machine in full swing.
Correct.
And that's why a lot of great alternative news outlets came out during this whole thing, where people were like, I'm fed up with this. Let's get some real information.
You have to listen to people like Dan Bongino and Ben Shapiro and all these other people where, I mean, look, Dan Bongino's obviously a Trump guy, but Ben Shapiro is more like he will tell you either way. He will
Right.
tell you the dumb shit that Trump did. He will tell you the dumb shit that Biden did. He will
Right.
tell you both sides of the story. Obviously, he leans more toward the conservative
Conservative.
view, but that's his political leanings. But
Right.
he will fucking tell you both sides. I've heard him shit on fucking Trump.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's not like you're just gonna like
No.
sit there and get hit with like Trump propaganda.
And Trump
either.
isn't the conservative messiah, but again, he exposed a system that is so vehemently against him, so vehemently against things that go against the grain. You know, who knew that that somebody who wasn't in politics could become president of the United States?
I did Reagan.
Well, yeah, Reagan. I guess Reagan was like the last one. I
Yeah,
guess.
I mean, he pretty well. You have Reagan. You have
Well, he
Arnold
was a governor.
Schwarzenegger.
Well, Reagan was governor.
He was governor
of
beforehand.
California.
Yes, he
but-
was.
So he had political experience, but again,
Very little.
Trump,
But he went from I know,
Yeah.
but he went from
Hollywood actor,
to that,
governor
to president. I mean,
Yeah.
sure. So Trump skipped one.
right. He skipped
know,
one.
He skipped one.
I know he's
know,
a billionaire from
so,
New York, but
yeah, he skipped one. But
but the fact is also
But
that
it does happen.
he won so much support being a billionaire from New York in the rural communities. You know, a lot of people in the rural communities think New York's filled with a bunch of yuppies, but he's like, look, like I'm exposing the bullshit that's going on. You know, I not taking a paycheck from the government. I'm doing this. I'm being dragged through the mud, persecuted, called all sorts of names. I'm not taking a paycheck, and I'm going to become your president. You know what I mean? So it says a lot about his character, too. And obviously, he's a billionaire from New York, so he's going to be arrogant. He's going to fucking womanize. He's going to do all this. Like, surprise. Like, people are surprised that he fucking paid a prostitute one time.
well, he's just not presidential.
All right, well, I guess
Yeah.
that...
Well, they're not going to hear that. But the outro music just started playing. Hold me, turn it off. What was I saying before we were rudely interrupted by the
outro music?
The music, yeah. Something about Trump.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I mean, people were surprised that Trump acted like a billionaire.
Right.
You know, when he was just a billionaire.
I know.
Like he's not like I was saying he's not presidential in like the, you know, like he's not like Obama was, who's a
Right.
career politician. He's not like Biden is, who's never had a real job in his life, has always just been a politician. So like, yeah, people aren't going to like that.
And I love the double standards, too, of everyone, like, back in, like, the 90s or the 80s with, like, the NAACP giving him all these awards and praises and everything.
Yeah, it's so
and
weird.
now
man.
everyone calls him a racist,
Yeah.
and it's just...
And then you have like Joe Biden saying things like the ethnic jungle.
oh, my God, I'm not going to have my kids grow up in a racial jungle.
But how come we forget about that shit? But
What?
you know what I'm saying? It's so
Yeah.
weird, man. It's so weird.
I know. Oh, God, it just... we could go on for another
He's so
fucking 3
cringy,
hours.
man. He's so cringy.
I know, he really is. He's old, and he just needs to give it up, man.
Yeah, he does.
Come on, folks.
What did he say to that one guy? Come on, fat. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh, he had like someone like when he was still campaigning, like asked him a question, and kind of like it started to get heated, and the guy was kind of big, and he said, "Come on, fat," or like, "Look here, fat," like basically called him fat. Like, bro, Biden is like an asshole.
I just think he mumbles and he doesn't know what he's saying.
Oh, did you
so-
see that? He fucking called the reporter a stupid son of a bitch the other day.
No.
Oh my God, dude. I forget who it was, but the reporter said to him, like, do you think that the inflation is a political liability? And he was like, no, it's an asset. It's an asset. Like, you know, like sarcastically, he's like, no, it's an asset. We need more inflation. And he was like, what a stupid son of a bitch.
Wow.
But you know what? And you know what's crazy, man? I saw in the comments people were like, that's my president. That's my president. I was like, Trump did the same dumb shit, and you guys were fucking like, hang him upside down by his big toes.
Yeah.
Fucking whip him in the streets and fucking, you know, drag him in the back of a fucking horse-drawn carriage through the fucking gravel.
But remember, Orange Man bad.
Orange Man
tweets.
bad.
Orange Man
He
bad.
tweets.
Mean tweets. That's all I have
I'm just
to
saying,
say.
like, these people, like, yo, like, listen, have the same fucking energy, all right? Have the same energy about your boy Biden that you had about Trump when he does the same shit.
Yeah, I know.
The fucking hypocrisy is so bad.
It's a double
man.
standard. It
Yeah,
really
it
is. It really is. But anyway,
all right, guys. Well,
I think that's pretty much it. We had a lot of ranting and catching up to do.
Yeah.
But now that John is healthy again, we will resume our semi-weekly podcast. Well,
I don't know about healthy.
Listen.
Yeah, you're not too much smaller than me, boy.
Listen, I still wear an extra large T-shirt.
I fit into an extra large. I just prefer to have a 2X.
You know.
Yeah. Well, whatever. All right, guys. We will see you next week.
Definitely.
And as always, be safe.
Yeah.